Hello, let's start today's lesson by creating a new project. And as you can see here, the interpreter is Python 3.9. The name of this project, you can change it from here, but for me it's Python project 2. Let's start. So from the last lesson, we used the len function to calculate the number of characters in a string. Like if I put my name here and I print it out, print, and run this, it will give me 6. So my name contain of 6 characters. So what if I want to calculate a digits of number? Let us just try it. Remove this and put any number you want. Let's run this and it will give me a type error. So type error, object of type in it has no len. So to understand why this is give us an error, we should start by studying the data type. And in programming, we have 4 different data types. The first one is a string. The second one is float. The third one is Boolean. The fourth one is integer. And we will be starting by talking first about strings. So in a string, we always put the text or anything we want it to be print into double quote. Like if I want here, first of all, to double quote, my name. And this is what we call it string, because we put it into double quote. Of course, in a string, always we can pull out each of these characters individually. Just we need to add it a square brackets like this, and we must put the position or the index of the character we want. And in programming, we always start with 0 because we are dealing with binary numbers, zeros and 1. So this method of pulling out a characters, we call it subscript. So let's print this. And this should give us the first letter, the first index of the string text, which is F letter. And if we run this, it will give us the F letter. Also, if we put any other number here, like number 5, it will give us the H. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also, we can print as a string a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let's run this and it will give us number 6. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the index 5. Also, in a string number, we can print numbers as a string. We just need to put them into double quote, and we can put any number we want. And if we run this, it will give us 1, 2, 3. Also, if we want to calculate these two numbers, like if we put 2 plus 2, it will give us 22. It will not do a mathematical operation like addition. It will just consider the both of these as a string, so it will combine them together. So here we print two strings number, and it didn't do any mathematical operation. It didn't consider the plus sign because they consider these two as a string number. So let's take this and put it under the string number. So what we do if we wanted actually to do the mathematical operation, let's go to the integer So if we want to do a mathematical operation, we just need to declare the number and the number data type. Here, as we see before, the data type is a string. So because it's a string, it combined the two numbers together. So what if we want to do the mathematical operation? We just need to change the data type to integer. And here we are going to use an integer. The integer is using a whole number without any decimal places. We just need to put the numbers like 2 plus 2. And let's put it inside a print function. And when we run this, it will give us 4. Also, if we want or if we have a decimal operation, we call this as a float. So here like 2.4 plus 2.8. And if we put it in a print function, let's run this. It will give us a float number. So a float number is a shortening for a floating numbers. Okay, so in the Boolean data type, we have only two values, which is true and false. And to always start with a capital letter. So in a string, we put any text or any number we want into double quote. And in a float is just for the number that have a decimal places. And in Boolean data type, we just use the true and false values to detect the true or the false of the code we want. Also, in integer, we use a whole numbers only, 2, 4, 3, without any decimal places. So let us try something new. Previously, when we tried to use the lim function with an integer value, and we try to print it out, print, it gives us an error. It tells us that object type in it has no len. And that's because len function don't like to work with an integer values. So let us take a small example to explain this more. We want the number of characters in a name. So if we take the len function and inside the len function we put an input function to ask the user of his name. What is your name? Okay. So first of all, we will ask the user about his name. Then we are going to take the number of characters of his name and we will assign and store this value inside the variable num. After that, we will call the print function and we will tell it your name contain of, let us leave a small space, plus sign, then num, the number of the value he entered here, plus small space, characters. Okay, let's try to print this. What's your name? Okay, so it gives us error. It tells us that can only concatenate str, not init to an str. So here we cannot concatenate a string value to an integer value. So how we are going to solve this problem? First of all, let's put this as a comment. If we want to know the type of the variable we are dealing with, we are going to use a function we call it type. So if we put the type function and inside of it the num variable and printed this out, okay, let's run this again. It will tell us about the name. Okay, so it tells us that this type, okay, this num value is an integer value. And as we see before, we cannot concatenate a string value to an integer value. So to solve this problem, we are going to do something we call it casting. And casting is changing the data type of a variable to another data type. And in this case, we are going to change this data type from an integer to string. So how we are going to do this? First of all, let's put this in a comment. Then we are going to put str to parentheses, and inside this we are going to put the num variable. And this str is going to take this integer value and change its type to string. Let's put this inside a new variable. New num will equal string num. Then we are going to uncomment this, and we are going to change here to call the new num the string one. So if we run this one again, first of all it would ask us about the value. Then it will tell us your name contains of 6 characters. So what we do exactly here? First of all, we ask an input from the user of the value of whatever question here. Then we take the length of the value that the user inserted here, and we store it in this variable. Then we take this variable and change its type from an integer to a string by using str to parentheses and assign this to a new variable. Then we call it inside of the print function. So this method here, we call it a casting. So in casting, we can change the data type of a variable from one type to another type. We can change like the integer value. If we have 1, 2, 3, okay, this is an int. We can change it to string. Just we will put str to parentheses, and now this value is going to be a string. Let's put first this in a comment. Also this one and the first one. So if we go and assign this to a variable, let's say we can name it anything like num value will equal str123, and if we print the num value, we want to print the type of the num value, type function, and we will put this into parentheses also. Let's print this, and it will tell us that this number is a change from an integer to a string. Also, if we want to change it to float, we'll just write here float. If we print this again, it will tell us that this number is a float. Okay? So what if we want to type this number when we change it? Okay, let's run this again. It changed its type from integer number to a float number with a decimal places. Also, if we want it as a string, str. If we put it like this, str plus, look what will happen. It will combine them together. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, because it is a string value. So what if we change this to a float? Okay, and we keep this as an integer. And we print it again. it will calculate it and display it as a float value with decimal number. So let's try this exercise. They want us to write a program that adds a two-digit number. Okay, so as an example, if the input from the user was 49, then the output should be 4 plus 9, it will equal 13. Okay, so the first code will be the first line of the code is asking the user to input a two-digit number. Then we will store this two-digit number inside the two-digit variable. So how we are going to do this? First of all, let us run this code. And when we type any two-digit number like 49, now it will give us nothing. So if we take the type of the two-digit and we print this out, let's run this again, put new number 49, and the type of this variable is a string, and we want the output to be a mathematical operation. So what we are going to do in this case, as we know before, strings, we can do something we call subtract. What we are going to do here, we will take this two-digit and we will subtract it. We'll take two-digit variable and we will take the index, the first index, and also we will take the second index. And we will assign these two to a variable. First index will equal two-digit index 0, and second index, it will equal two-digit index number 1. Okay. So if we print here, first index plus second index, this should give us the calculation. Okay, so let's put here 49, and when we run, it will give us also 49. Why is that? Because this two-digit here is type of a string. If we try to know the type, the data type of this variable by using the type function, when we print this out and we insert any number, two-digit, it will give us that this variable is a string and we cannot do any mathematical operation to a string number. So what should we do? We should now try to do the casting. Casting is to change the data type of a variable from one type to another type. And in our case, we are going to change this string value to be an integer value by just doing init two parentheses. And inside this, we will put the first digit, the first index of the input from the user. And here also init. And here we do the casting. We change the variable, the data type of this variable from string to integer. Then we are going to print again first index plus the second one. And when we run this again, if we put here 49, it should give us 13. So what exactly did we do here? First of all, we asked the user to give us two input number, two input digits. Okay, after that we take the first index from the user input and the second index from the user input, because the data type was string and we know we can subtract string. After that we change the data type by casting it and change it from string to integer. Then after we change it, we print out the addition of the first index and the second index. And if we put any number here, like 11, and we run this, it will give us 2. So let's remove all this. And let us know a little bit about the mathematical operation. So in programming, if we want to add something, to do an additional operation, we just write like 4 and we will use the plus sign, add to 4. And if we want to subtract, we will say 4 minus 4. And if we want to do a multiplication, we will use the asterisk 4, asterisk 4. And if we want to use the division, 4 slash 5 slash 5. Okay, so and also if we want like 4 to the power 2, we will use double asterisk 4. And if we print this out, print and run it, it will give us 256. Also if we want to change this to 2 to the power 2 and run this again, it will give us 4. Okay, so this is for the mathematical operation. So to explain the mathematical operation more, let us take an example. First of all, let's delete all of that. Okay, let's build a program that calculates the body mass index for the user weight and height. And what is this BMI calculator exactly do? It takes the weight in kg and the height in meter of a person, and it divides the weight by the height to the power of 2 and give us the body mass. And here is a chart that will give you an idea what is the body mass exactly. So let us start. First of all, we will ask an input from the user for its height. Enter your height in meter. Then we are going to take the weight also. After that, we are going to put the formula. So the formula for the BMI is, as you can see here, is the weight divide height to the power 2. Okay, Then we are going to print the BMI. Let's run the code. Enter your height. Okay. Enter your weight. So this is an error, unsupported error for what? str and init, and that's because the height here and the weight is a string because it is coming from an input function. So to change that, first of all, we will change the type of the weight to integer, init, weight, and the type of height to float because of course there is a decimal number. And to take the result as a whole number without any decimal places, we are going to change the type of BMI to an integer. So here BMI init will equal init BMI. Then we are going to print the new BMI, the integer value. Okay, so let's try to run this again. Enter your height, your weight. So the body mass for us is 21. Okay, let us try something now. If we do any mathematical operation like 1 plus 2 and we assign this to a variable, let's call it result. It will equal 1 plus 2 and let's print the result. Okay, so when we run this, it gives us 3. So what if we write like this? Okay, the result is equal, let's run it again, and it would give us error. We can only concatenate str to str. So how to solve this problem? We can do, for this result, we can do casting, change its type from integer to str like this. And the code will work. So what if we have multiple data type? Like, let's do this. Age equal 20. Height equal 1.50. Is true equal true. So here we have an integer value, and here we have a float value, and here we have a Boolean value. And we want to take all of this and print it out. So to print out a multiple different data type, we are going to use the if string. If string will allow us to call different data types in only one print statement. So we are going to do this first. We will put the F here in front of the double quotation. Then the result is, or we'll change this statement, your age is, two curly brackets, age, and your height is, two curly brackets, height. And you are a true winner. Two curly brackets, 1 minute, is it true? So what we are going to do, we are going to put the F string in front of the two double quotation, okay? Then we are going to put every one of these variable inside two curly brackets. And when we run this, your age is 20 and your height is 1.5 and you are a true winner, true. So here, by using the F string, we call different variables with different data type. Here the age is integer and the height is a float and is true is a Boolean value. So let's end today's lesson by creating the tip calculator. And the tip calculator, how it's going to work exactly. So how does this tip calculator exactly do? First of all, start by welcoming to the tip calculator. Then it will ask us about the total bill. Let's say like 180. Then it will ask us how much tip would you like to give, 10, 12 or 15. Let's say 15. How many people to split the bill? Let's say 4 people. So each person should pay 51.75. So let's start building the tip calculator. First of all, we will start by the print function. Print, two double quotation, welcome to the tip calculator. Then we are going to ask an input from the user to give us what was the total bill. So input, what was the last total bill? Then we are going to ask the user how much tip would he like to give. Input, how much tip would you like to give? And let us give him 3 options, 10, 12 or 50. Then we will ask how many people are going to split this bill. and we are going to assign these inputs into a variable. The first one is going to be the bill. The second one is going to be the tip. And the third one is going to be people. Okay, so we want the bill to be an integer number. We want the bill to be a float number. Okay, so we are going here to write float. And for the tip, 10, 12, or 15, it will be an integer number. So from beginning, do the casting. And also for the people, we want it to be an integer, because we want it to appear as a whole number. Okay, so first of all, we are going to take the tip and divide it by 100. So tip as percentage will equal the tip divide by 100. Then we are going to take the bill and multiply it with the tip percentage, and this will be the total tip amount. So the total tip amount is going to equal the bill multiply with the tip as percentage, and the total bill is going to equal the total bill amount plus the bill. Then we are going to know now the people who's going to split the bill between them. So we will put bill per person will equal the total bill divided by people. Then we are going to put the final amount, and this one is going to equal the bill per person. Okay, but we want it to be to the roundest to decimal, so we will put here round by 2 decimal. Then we are going to print the final result. So here we are going to say each person is going to pay two curly brackets final amount, and we will put here if string. Okay, so let's run this and see what was the total bill. Let's say 180. How much tip would you like to give? 12. How many people to split this bill? Let's say 3. So each person is going to pay 67.2. Thank you so much. So this is for today tutorial. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe and like and share it. Thank you. Bye bye.